In the quiet town of Willow Creek, nestled along the shimmering shores of Lake Harmony in northern Michigan, I, Nathan Brooks, thought I'd found my sanctuary. It was the summer of 2023, and after a brutal divorce that left me with half my savings and a bruised heart, I bought a modest cabin by the lake. All I wanted was a slice of peace, a place to cast my fishing line, crack open a cold beer, and let the world's noise fade away. I envisioned a simple pier stretching into the water, nothing grand, just a sturdy platform where I could sit and watch the sunset. Little did I know, that pier would ignite a war that would shake this sleepy community to its core, expose a web of lies, and land someone in handcuffs. I'm a meticulous guy, the kind who double-checks every detail before making a move. So, before I even bought a single plank of wood, I spent weeks poring over every regulation, local, state, and even federal environmental laws. I hired contractors, secured permits, and even commissioned an ecological study to ensure my pier wouldn't harm Lake Harmony's pristine ecosystem. By the time construction started, I was certain every I was dotted, every T crossed. My pier was a thing of beauty, sleek, modern, built with treated cedar and anchored with concrete footings designed to last a lifetime. It was everything I dreamed of, a quiet haven for fishing and reflection. Enter Lorraine Mitchell, the iron-fisted president of the Lake Harmony Homeowners Association. At 60, Lorraine had ruled the HOA for a dozen years, her authority unchallenged until a neighbor, the Thompsons, humiliated her in court over a fence dispute just months before I arrived. That loss left her reeling, desperate to reassert her dominance. Lorraine's own pier, visible from her sprawling lakefront home, was a crumbling ice or rotting boards, rusted nails, and a lean that suggested it might collapse into the lake any day. Every morning, as she sipped her coffee, she'd stare at my pristine pier, a glaring reminder of someone else's success, something she couldn't control. It ate at her, festering into a jealousy she'd never admit. Instead, she cloaked her resentment in the guise of community standards, convincing herself she was the guardian of Willow Creek's honor. Our first encounter came on a crisp August morning as I hammered the final railing into place. Lorraine approached, her smile as stiff as cardboard, her eyes cold. "Welcome to the neighborhood, Nathan," she said, her voice dripping with false warmth. "I'm Lorraine, HOA president. That's quite a bold pier you're building. Did you check with us first? We have strict guidelines for waterfront structures." I wiped the sweat from my brow and met her gaze, friendly but firm. "Nice to meet you, Lorraine. I appreciate the welcome. I've gone over all the rules, HOA bylaws, county codes, state environmental regs. Everything's in order." Her smile twitched, a flicker of surprise crossing her face. She'd expected me to stammer, to crumble under her authority. Instead, I stood my ground, and that's when the battle lines were drawn. 3 days later, a certified letter arrived, its official HOA letterhead screaming trouble. Violation notice, aesthetic disruption of community standards. $500 daily fine until remediation. I laughed out loud, sitting on my pier as the morning mist rolled over the lake. Aesthetic disruption? For a pier that cost me $18,000 and looked better than anything else on Lake Harmony? Most people would have panicked, lawyered up, or started sweating the fines. Not me. I fired up my laptop and crafted a response that would make a legal scholar proud. I cited specific statutes, attached my environmental study, included high-resolution photos proving compliance, and even referenced federal waterway laws protecting my rights. By midnight, I hit send, knowing Lorraine was in for a shock. She read my email over her morning coffee, her confusion morphing into rage. Normal neighbors don't toss around terms like riparian rights or have ecological reports on hand. She dug deeper, Googling my name, and found a basic profile. Nathan Brooks, systems analyst, Michigan Department of Environmental Quality. She smirked, thinking she'd pegged me a low-level bureaucrat who thought he could outsmart her. Lorraine saw her chance to crush me, to restore her tarnished reputation. She hired the priciest lawyer in the county, rallied her loyalists with half-truths, and prepared for war, convinced she was taking on a nobody. 2 weeks later, a legal demand arrived, thick as a novel. $80,000 in damages for property value reduction, immediate pier removal, a public apology in the Willow Creek Gazette, and a $1,200 fee for future HOA approvals. Sitting at my kitchen table, I felt a pang of worry not because I doubted my case, but because $80,000 was real money, and court battles, even when you're right, can bleed you dry. I called my boss, Director Sarah Coleman, a woman I rarely bothered outside work. "Sarah, I've got a problem. The HOA president's claiming I abused my position to build my pier." There was a long pause, then a dry chuckle. "That's absurd, Nathan. But given your actual role, maybe it's time to show her who she's messing with." See, Lorraine had no idea who I really was. She thought I was some desk jockey with a government badge. In reality, I'm the senior specialist who drafts Michigan's waterfront permitting regulations, the very rules she was trying to weaponize. I'd written the book on piers, literally, but I didn't tip my hand. Timing was everything, and Lorraine was digging her own grave. She called an emergency community meeting to expose my corruption, inviting neighbors, lawyers, and a local news crew. She thought she was orchestrating my downfall. Instead, she was setting the stage for her own. The Willow Creek Community Center was packed that Thursday night, 70 people squeezed into folding chairs, the air thick with anticipation. Lorraine stood at the podium, her PowerPoint loaded with glossy slides, before and after lakefront photos, inflated property value losses, and a section titled Government Ethics Violations. Her lawyer, a slick attorney named Gregory Voss, oozed confidence, waving documents like they were irrefutable proof. "Mr. Brooks has abused his position, bypassing regulations that protect our community," Lorraine declared, her voice ringing with righteous fury. The crowd murmured, hooked. I sat in the back, a manila folder in hand, looking like the underdog Lorraine expected. When she called me up, I walked to the front, calm as the lake at dawn. "Thank you, Ms. Mitchell, for your thorough presentation," I said, my tone measured. "But there are some gaps in your research." I pulled out a document with state letterhead, the crowd leaning forward. "You called my department, spoke to reception, and got my basic job title. You never asked for my division." Lorraine's smile faltered. "What difference does that make?" she snapped. I paused, letting the tension build. "I don't just work for the Department of Environmental Quality, Ms. Mitchell. I write the state's waterfront permits." The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, phones recording. Lorraine's jaw dropped, her face a kaleidoscope of shock and dread. Her lawyer went pale, shuffling papers like a man abandoning ship. "The rule you cited, Section 3.1.4? I drafted it in 2019. My signature's on it. The environmental standards for piers? I wrote those too. My pier doesn't just meet the law, it's the model we use to train others." I held up permits, environmental reviews, and a structural report, each document a nail in Lorraine's coffin. "This isn't about my pier, is it? It's about your loss to the Thompsons, the first time someone challenged your control and won." The crowd turned on her. "You said he was corrupt," shouted Tom Reynolds, a retired mechanic. "You lied to us," cried Ellen Harper, Lorraine's former ally. A vote of no confidence was called, and hands shot up, stripping Lorraine of her presidency. She stormed out, vowing revenge. "I'll call the press. I'll expose you all," I called after her. "Be careful about false statements, Ms. Mitchell. That's not legal." You'd think that was the end, but Lorraine was a dog with a bone. By morning, she was on Channel 9, spinning tales of government overreach, her face the picture of victimhood. She emailed the governor, senators, and my director, accusing me of systematic corruption. My boss called me in, her desk covered with complaints. "Nathan, you're suspended with pay pending review." For the first time, I doubted myself, staring at my pier as the sun sank, wondering if I should have just torn it down. But Lorraine overplayed her hand. In a recorded call to my department, she ranted to Sarah, "I don't care about permits. He humiliated me. I told reporters he takes bribes, and if you don't fire him, I'll say your whole department's corrupt." Sarah calmly noted the call was recorded, and Lorraine's panic was palpable. "You can't record me," she shrieked, but the damage was done. My lawyer, stunned, called it textbook defamation. I didn't want to ruin Lorraine, but I couldn't let her destroy me. We planned a community education session on filing complaints, a trap Lorraine couldn't resist. She arrived with boxes of evidence, ready to attack. The room was packed, 90 people, 3 news crews, and Sheriff's Deputy Carla Ruiz in the front row. I began with a dry lecture on citizens' rights, then turned to Lorraine. Your case is our study today. Her eyes gleamed, thinking she'd won. Then I played her recorded confession. He embarrassed me. I told reporters he takes bribes. Gasps filled the room. Lorraine leapt up. You can't play that. I countered. It's public record. Slide by slide, I dismantled her. Defamation laws, my clean financial disclosures, my peers' perfect permits. Deputy Ruiz stood, a mess. Mitchell, the state attorney's reviewing charges. Lorraine's face crumpled, her voice a desperate wail. This is a conspiracy. Neighbors turned away, betrayed. As she was cuffed, she screamed, I'll sue you all. I offered one last word. Actions have consequences. Lorraine pleaded guilty to defamation and false reporting, fined $15,000, forced to apologize in the Gazette, and fled Michigan. Her house sold for pennies, her reputation in tatters. My pier stands, a testament to doing things right. The lake's still peaceful, the fishing's perfect, and I'm still here, sipping a beer as the sun sets. So what do you think? Was Lorraine a victim of her own ego? Or did I play too hard? Should she have faced jail time? Or was her humiliation enough? Drop justice if you cheered her downfall. Mercy if you think she deserved a break. Or share your own story of someone who thought they could bully the law. Like, comment, and subscribe. What's the craziest power trip you've seen?